to be honest, like this is where when you ask me about using technology in the practice, I think that this is the area that you've got to focus on first is, do you have the technology to operate with a dispersed team? And if you don't, like figure that out first, because whether it's your own people or whether it's like, a back office team, like, do you have at least a Zoom account or Calendly? Like we both use Calendly to have people have the ability to book their own appointments versus, I don't know if you have a receptionist, but a traditional law firm would have a full-time receptionist that answers the phones and books the appointments. And okay, maybe their salary isn't super high, but it's a lot more expensive than some of these technology tools you could use.
Yeah, I mean, for Calendly, I just tell people, email me, I send a Calendly link, they pay through a PayPal account or a credit card through that, and they schedule a time through Zoom. All of a sudden, before I would like go back and forth with them to figure out a time, and I couldn't, like, I knew about Calendly for a year, but I was like, well, I don't know, my calendar changes and schedules changes. And then I just did it, and I'm like, I was so stupid for not doing this sooner. I just wasted so much of my life. And then I traditionally don't accept credit cards for fees, but I said for consultation I will, just because it's easier than me having to do other stuff. And the Zoom stuff, I mean, I don't meet anyone in person. Every once in a while, like in a month, there'll be one or two people that say we want to do in person only. But I'm like, listen, I'm not doing it in person. It's so much more efficient for me to just jump online like this talk and get in, get out. So the quality is so good nowadays. No buffering and stuff like that. Zoom is a godsend. So it's really made practicing so much easier and cost effective.
Yeah, you just hit on something else, and I'm curious what Arthur thinks about this. In terms of in-person meetings. So in terms of our clients, the tech clients, they're not interested in meeting in person. Like it's not something that they ever ask about. The creatives, I feel like it's more, Arthur, you deal with them more than me. Like what's your experience been, even during the pandemic?
I would say I mean, they adapted very well to the situation. I would say that it's very rare for me to meet them in person. I would say even before the pandemic, we were very tech oriented, so it was very hard for us to actually meet the clients. But especially nowadays, I would say so. That hasn't changed a lot, but for musicians, I would say they adapted a lot. I don't see a lot of I mean, we do meet in person every once in a while, and especially now when I mean the events are back, so we get to see more people, but it hasn't been an issue, I would say.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, talk maybe a little bit more about your marketing.
Right. Yeah, for the marketing, I mean, that's the blessing of being in LA, just because it's just so many opportunities to meet people from all over the place, from all over, like, creative industry. I mean, that's the place to be. So I would say that for networking purposes, there's so much opportunity. So that's been a good part of being here and meeting, actually getting to see people in person.
Yeah, and John, I'm not going to let you talk anymore. It's funny that this question came up, and then my answer is even funnier now that I think about it, because tomorrow I have an in-person breakfast networking event. That's, I think, the first one that I've been to in a year and a half or whatever it's been. And that's where I feel like there's a lot of things that can happen in person that over video, it's just harder to have people really. I think they'll come to the conclusion that they really want to hire you a lot quicker if it's in person. But that being said, video has been perfectly fine for almost all of our clients, and it's definitely helped us expand. Like, I think because we are such, like you, John, like we do a lot of video stuff, and so in terms of having Zoom webinars or opportunities to, for example, I do a lot of events with startup groups. Zoom's been perfect for that. And then we're ready to go. Like, it's much better than the old days where people would publish an article, like in print, it would come out a while later, right? Like these days, everything is so instant, and video lets people really get to have a feel for who you are.
Yeah, the in-person stuff, there's always this connection you have with somebody when you meet in person. There's all these subconscious things that pop. It definitely is good, but on the other end, the video is faster, and there's just more numbers that you could put down on people. For me, a lot of my networking and stuff is with other immigration attorneys, and the pandemic was great because people got used to doing Zoom and they're at home. So I've just been constantly behind the scenes. For every one interview I do, I talk with 5 different immigration lawyers behind the scenes. So it kind of got that together. But in person is its own. I mean, you and I met in person the first time we met. That totally makes it completely different than if we had only talked by video and stuff like that. At least we have like some physical interaction stuff when we met at LAX the first time.